In this video, I'm going to share some strategies for resourcing when you feel overwhelmed. We can feel overwhelmed whenever our nervous system is pushed out of its window of tolerance, and this can look different for different people. Typically, when our nervous system is overwhelmed and we are pushed out of that window, we can react either by feeling hyper-aroused, so the classic fight or flight response, or hypo-aroused, freeze or fawn. And fawning can look like appeasing, people pleasing, that kind of thing. And all of these responses are our body's response to what feels like a threat. And it may not be a physical threat. There's not too many lions about nowadays, but our bodies are still working on those old systems that evolved to deal with physical threats. And so our bodies can respond this way to all sorts of things that are not actually physically threatening. So maybe criticism or rejection or our own anger, especially as women are often socialized to think that their own anger is not an acceptable thing to feel. Or for those of us who judge ourselves harshly, to making a mistake. Anything can push us out of this window of tolerance. So what can you do in the moment? Well, firstly, if it's an emotion that feels overwhelming, rather than try to fight it or somehow make it wrong or not okay, I would really invite you to just allow it to be present without resisting it. If we allow our emotions to just be here, if we say yes to our emotions, all of them, then they do just naturally pass through. As long as we're not attaching story, we're not attaching judgment, they just naturally move through us and can be released. Think of your emotions as clouds floating across a blue sky. You are the blue sky, not the clouds. And secondly, here are some ways of resourcing in that moment whenever you're pushed out of your window of tolerance, whenever you feel overwhelmed. And all of these are designed to bring online your vagus nerve being the most important of your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of the sympathetic fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. So stimulating it gets you back into that rest, digest. It lets your body know that you're not in immediate physical danger, that you're okay. So one of the ways we can do this is with the breath. So a really nice, easy one to try, and we'll try it now, is to breathe in for 2, out for 4, in for 3, out for 6, in for 4, out for 8. So let's try it. So breathing in for a count of 2, and out for a count of 4. And again in for a count of 2, and out for a count of 4. And then in for a count of 3, out for a count of 6. Once more in for 3, and out for 6. Finally in for a count of 4, out for 8. In for 4, out for 8. I like this breath better than the box breath of in and hold and out and hold, because for me, when I'm overwhelmed, I find that holding the breath can be quite stressful in itself. So I really like this in for half the time, out for the longer time, as a way of bringing back calmness to the system without having to hold the breath and potentially cause more stress. The second way is to look for an internal resource. So the way that I like to do this is to feel and find that part of me that can have compassion for the part of me that is scared or overwhelmed. So feeling into my body, feeling that I can reach out to that part of me that is scared, often from my heart. It may be different for you, different people feel it in different places, but feeling that compassion in my heart for the part of me that is scared, the part of me that feels hurt or rejected or overwhelmed, which often feels like an inner child part. And finding that nurturing, compassionate part of me that can scoop up the scared and overwhelmed part and just hold them and extend to them, it's okay, I've got you, I'm here. You don't have to do the scary thing, I will do it for you. So just feeling now that, can you feel the part of you that is compassionate towards the parts of you that sometimes are scared, sometimes are overwhelmed, sometimes struggle to cope? And can you feel that compassion and extend it to those scared parts and hold them? Compassion also stimulates the vagus nerve. Again, bringing you back into that rest and digest state. And also, it helps you to get into the habit of holding yourself in compassion, not passing judgment on how you feel, not adding to the cycle by making yourself wrong. So this is a really beautiful resource that I use personally a lot. And the final resourcing tip that I'll share with you is the idea of grounding or resourcing externally. So sometimes when we're really overwhelmed, when we're really emotionally overwhelmed, we can almost dissociate from our bodies and ourselves. And it can really help to look around your surroundings, to remind yourself that here and now you are safe, and to focus on something around you that is good or beautiful. Perhaps you can see the sky, perhaps you can see a plant or a tree, and feeling your feet on the ground, really focusing on the sensation of your feet on the ground. And you can feel that through your feet, you have the support of the earth, the love of Mother Earth, and that she will hold you, just as you were holding yourself in the last exercise. And most of all, I would really encourage you to practice that self-compassion, that holding of yourself in compassion whenever things are too much for you, because it's too much for everybody sometimes.